Alrighty, before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that this is a sort of watered down version of Sycra's podcast episode, which I will link down below. It has a lot of the same stuff. It's going to cover basically the same thing in a much more concise and easily manageable format. So first things first, the things that we're going to need for this, I would recommend installing PureRef. It is free to download, but you can support the creators. I would recommend doing that. It is an excellent tool, and it can be used for so much more than just this project. It's going to be something that will help you throughout your artistic career. Next is going to be creating an account with Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is an image board site that a lot of people use to share artwork, tag and quantify things, and you can use this as an amazing tool to find really, really good artwork that you can then load into PureRef. If you create a Pinterest account, you can save pins to different boards, and it will automatically determine the things that you enjoy and send you more of it. We're going to be using a combination of Pinterest and PureRef in order to make what is effectively going to be a tier list or a mood board for our artistic journey. If you hover over the PureRef icon, you can set PureRef to be always on top. And what I like to do is I like to either use it on a second monitor or keep it on the same screen, and then drag in images from Pinterest, from ArtStation into it so that way I can have just a visual board of everything set. There are also tools that you can use by right-clicking. You can open up a context menu, which will allow you to easily resize every image that you have, to organize them in a way that's more easily manageable. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be collecting images at first, then we're going to be setting them up into tier lists. You can make as many tier lists as you want, but I end up making around 4 or 5. The first couple tiers are going to be your tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 is going to be exclusive to images that are going to be things that you want to do and that look fantastic to you. So these are going to be the top of the line images for just about anything. So it'll be your favorite of the favorites. It's something that you look at and you say, this is something I would be happy with doing in my professional career, and it's something that I can enjoy. Tier 2 is going to be a little bit similar to that. It's going to basically be reserved for artwork that looks good. It's what you'd like to do, but it has some flaws in one way or another. So you'd look at a character and you can say, oh, well, I'm not really enjoying the style of the face. I'm not enjoying the way that the lighting or the color or that the perspective or proportion was done. Maybe it's too exaggerated. Maybe it's not exaggerated enough. But there's something about it that keeps it from being just a perfect image for what you want to do. Tier 3 is a little bit simpler. I feel like we all have sort of interests that are going to be outside of the range of what we want to do professionally. And these are things that don't fit into what you do professionally, but there are still things that you enjoy about artwork. So if you do something that's probably more painterly, perhaps simplified stuff, is going to be fitting in this category because it's something that you really enjoy, but it's not something that you'd want to do. So it shouldn't really take too much of a hard look towards it, but it's good to notice what you like about it because perhaps you can apply it to the next few tiers. And then finally, tier 4. Tier 4 is going to be the simplest one. It's just stuff that you like for one specific reason. Maybe the artwork itself isn't that great, but you love the way that the expression is captured, or you love the design of a character, or maybe you like the way that the light was set up. Generally, these are things that you want to take a closer look at to identify what you enjoy about, so that way you can, again, move up the tier and see, okay, well, what are these things that these have in common? And generally, that's all we're going to be doing, is we're going to be looking for things that these images have in common. Things like lighting, things like shape, things like proportion. I'll see if I can make a guide on things that are going to be helpful to look for. There are a lot of fundamentals that we should look for, and we should look for those first, because it's the application of those fundamentals that we want to figure out how to learn from. But as long as we can identify consistent themes with the artworks that we like, we can then apply it to our own personal work, and then we can make better images. We can make images that make us more happy and are closer to the things that we want to do. Another helpful thing is if you see artists or properties like Magic the Gathering or certain IPs that you really enjoy, a lot of these artists will create resources for doing what they do. And it can be really helpful to single out those resources versus other ones. And if you see an artist's name pop up over and over and over again in these lists, then you're going to want to take a deep dive into what they do, because oftentimes they're going to have stuff like Gumroads, they're going to have stuff like YouTube videos, places where they share their information, or you could even just ask them. A lot of people are very busy, but they are available to help others learn. A lot of people help them learn, and that's something that's fantastic because they are more than willing to share the advice and the help sometimes. I'm going to see if I can't follow this up with a part 2 that has a little bit more to do with, okay, well, now we have this style, we have this direction that we want to go in. How do we achieve that? And so it'll be things like trying to hunt down correct resources, figuring out which fundamentals are used in what ways. And so there's going to be a lot of differentiation between that. Making a mood board like this can help you visually sort a lot of things that you may not have noticed otherwise. And it'll allow you to effectively replicate it in your own work, even if you don't have the resources to do that, because you can look and you can say, oh, well, this is kind of where I want to go. And anything that isn't in that singular defined direction, it should be easier to knock off. You can say, okay, well, I enjoy this, but this got placed in tier 3. So I'm not going to pursue looking at that style or looking at that specific direction until I have mastered this element of this thing. And you can generally prioritize where you want to go. Multidisciplinary learning is always good, but it can be a lot faster and a lot stronger to take a direction and really stick to it. Hopefully this is helpful in finding that direction. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and thank you guys very much for watching.